Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Yuli, and on my channel I will be covering true crime stories, mysteries, and also I'll be sometimes diving into the realm of the supernatural by covering real ghost and demonic stories, UFO encounters and alien abductions, as well as urban legends from around the world. Before we get onto today's special Halloween episode, I would like to give a shout out to a very good friend of mine, Mario D, who helped me develop my branding and created the logo for my YouTube channel. Mario is certified Adobe Creative Educator and is specialized in motion graphics. I would leave a link to his Facebook profile down in the description in case you might need help with some of your projects. Also, just quickly want to announce something. I know in my introduction video I mentioned I'll be doing paintings and time-lapse videos along with my true crime stories, and realized that those videos might bring young audience to my channel and consequently expose them to topics not meant for kids. For that reason, I might create another YouTube channel with more family-friendly content, and here I'll stick with my untypical stories. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment what do you think about today's episode, and I would appreciate if you like the video. Now let's get to the story. The body of 15 years old Martha Moxley was found soaked in blood on the morning of Halloween. The discovery was shocking for the town, as Greenwich, Connecticut was not a place you would expect to find a body. The town is known as one of the wealthiest in the United States, where many celebrities and millionaires are raising their kids, as the area is considered extremely safe. Martha had been beaten with a golf stick so hard that the stick had shattered. Then whoever done this didn't even stop there, as she was stabbed multiple times in the neck with one of the jagged pieces and then dragged over 24 meters, where the killer dropped her off in her own backyard. Everyone's eyes soon turned to 17 years old Tommy Skakel, who was the nephew of the Senator Robert F. Kennedy. According to reports from the locals, Martha will go out with her friends the night before Halloween, and they will be going to a party at the Tommy Skakel's house. At some point, Tommy will leave the party along with Martha in the late hours of the night, but she would never made it home, even though their houses were only 130 meters away from each other. Although the police had suspicions about Tommy, they would never make conviction, and then the so-called Greenwich Halloween murder will remain a cold case for over 16 years. Luckily, in 1991, renewed investigation into Moxley's case will bring it back into the public eyes. But it won't be until 1998, over 23 years after the murder of Martha, that the killer was named. And this was Michael Skakel, Tommy's brother. There was a novelist, Dominic Dunne, according to whom Michael once climbed a tree outside Martha's window and would masturbate. According to him, Michael was obsessed with the girl. Finally, in 2002, Michael Skakel will be convicted of the murder of Martha Moxley by a grand jury. You would think that this is the end of the story, right? But no. In 2013, Michael was granted an appeal and he was released from prison on bail, and at the moment is freely walking among us. In 2014, just few days before Halloween, witnesses will see a man to drag a decapitated body out of a Long Island apartment. He would lay the body on the street and will kick the head to the opposite curb. To the locals, the whole scene appeared as a typical Halloween prank. Even some time will pass by without anyone do anything about it. One witness would even say that the whole thing looked fake. However, the despicable truth will come to light when a pedestrian will try to move the corpse from the middle of the street to realize that it was a real body. The police quickly determined that the body belonged to Patricia Ward, 66 years old professor at New York Farmingdale State College. Soon, horrifying details around Patricia's death will come to light. Patricia's son, Derek Ward, age 35, would move to live with his mother not long before the murder in her Farmingdale apartment, and he would be known to have mental illness but was showing all signs to be on the road of recovery. However, for some reason that night he would snap, he would behead his mother and would drag her bloody body out of the apartment and down the stairs. He would calmly leave from the front door of the building, dragging his mother's corpse like a doll. He would then leave the body on display on the streets and would walk away. He would later on throw himself on an oncoming train, killing himself. To this day, no one knows why he did what he did. 31st of October 1989, the 30-year-old Silvia Salinas was at her small corner grocery store in Galveston, Texas. She would have really bad feeling that her small business might get robbed, and for protection she would keep machete and a gun below the cash register. However, whoever would come to her shop that night would not alert her in any way, as she wouldn't touch either of her protection weapons. It is very likely to be someone she knew, but whoever it was, this unidentified person would stab her in the heart multiple times, killing her at the spot. What was the weirdest part is that Silvia would not make any attempt to defend herself and fight back, and would not activate the silent alarm she had installed in her shop. In the matter of fact, the killer activated the alarm himself when he tried to break the register to take the cash inside. He would flee quickly, even leaving the murder weapon at the scene just before the police arrive. Even after all their effort, the countless interviews with many suspects, the investigators never found the killer of Silvia. Even to make the whole situation worse, after nearly 20 years of the case being cold in 2008, most of the evidence will get lost due to the Hurricane Ike. 10 years later, in 2018, the case will be reviewed again after the discovery that the critical piece of evidence had in fact survived the hurricane, a videotape made by the police of the crime scene soon after Silvia was killed. The tape would show the crime scene in details, including the murder weapon and footprints left by the killer, and even fingerprints. This evidence now gives new hope for solving the murder, but as of today, whoever killed Silvia Salinas walks among us as a free man. The Halloween of 2013 will be so violent that it will shock the entire New York City. 3 men will be shot dead in Brooklyn and 2 others will suffer non-fatal gunshot wounds in Queens. But one of the Brooklyn's killing will receive the headlights, that of Anthony C. Bell. At 8:30 p.m., Anthony, who was only 19 years old, will be walking on East 31st Street in the Farragut neighborhood when a man wearing ghost face mask, similar looking to the one used in the movie Scream, fired upon him and shot him straight in the head. The masked man would then run off the crime scene, leaving Anthony for dead. Anthony will be taken to Kings County Hospital, but he would succumb to his injuries and will be pronounced dead shortly after. Despite all the media attention due to the killer dressing as a horror movie villain, there would be no suspect, and the identity of the Scream mask killer will remain unsolved. The next story is for the real-life Candyman, a man who killed his own son with trick-or-treat sweets. For many kids, Halloween is one of the most exciting nights of the year, and that Halloween on October 31st, 1974 should have been the same for the little Timothy O'Brien, the 8-year-old boy, along with his little sister Elizabeth, 5, and their father and a neighbor, Jim Bates, and his 2 children couldn't wait to go and trick-or-treat on Halloween. The night started for them with a dinner at the Bates house, before the 2 fathers agreed to take their little ones out to collect some candies. Timothy's father, Ronald, was a respected member of his local community in Deer Park, Texas. He was the local optician in the town and was the deacon of the local Baptist church, where he was also singing in a chore. But what the Deer Park community lacked to know, that Ronald was also in a very serious debt, as he owed over £78,000 and struggled tremendously, and this debt will bring Ronald to the most disturbing and disgusting plan you could ever think of, and Halloween will give him all the opportunities to carry out his plan. Jim would agree to wait outside of each house while Ronald would walk up to the front door of the homes with the children, but at one of the houses no one would be home, and the children, from excitement to get as much candies as possible, would run to the next door's neighbors, leaving Ronald behind. Not very concerned as he could see them, he joined Jim on the pavement holding 5 straws filled with powdered sweets. He told Jim the couple had been in, but didn't reach the door before the kids ran to the next door, and they gave him the candies for the children. Due to heavy rain, the trick-or-treating had to be cut short, and the families rushed to get home before becoming soaking wet. It was time to bed, and little Timothy climbed into his bed and started begging his father for some of his Halloween sweets, and Ronald decided to treat his son with one of the pixie sticks he collected from the house while he was alone. He helped the boy to open the sealed packet, and excited, Timothy started eating his well-deserved treat, but after a few bites, the little boy started to complain that it tastes bitter and immediately started crumple over in agony. Running to the bathroom, Timothy started convulsing and vomiting, and at the whole time he was held by his father. Not even an hour will pass by while on the way to the hospital the little boy will pass away. When the police carried a post-mortem of Timothy's body, officers will discover that the little boy had been poisoned with potassium cyanide. Ronald OBrien would stick to his story that he'd been given the sweets by the people living at the empty house. The police would report that the little boy consumed enough cyanide to kill 2 adults and would rush to stop other kids of eating poisonous candies. They would seize every pixie sticks collected from the children in the area. One of the kids had fallen asleep, leaving his pixie sticks next to his bed as he was unable to open the sealed bag. Luckily, none of the other children would eat any of the deadly candies. Ronald informed the police he cannot remember which was the house the poisonous candies are coming from, but after he would be forced to a walkout, he would recognize the house. He would say he only remembered a man's arm and that no light had been turned on. The house owner, Courtney Malvin, was an air traffic controller and had been at work until 11 p.m. that night, giving him a solid alibi. It wouldn't be long before the police would discover the massive debt O'Brien had found himself in. And not only that, but they would find that he had taken out $10,000 insurance policy on each of his children's lives in January of that year. But what brings even more red flags was that this insurance policy was increased to $20,000 just a month prior to Timothy's death. The police discovered that the same morning after Timothy's death, Ronald OBrien called the insurance company to collect the policies on his son. He was charged with 1 count of murder and 4 counts of attempted murder and pleaded not guilty to all 5 charges. Ronald would insist that his son was killed by the mad poisoner, a local urban legend. It would take the jury only 46 minutes to find O'Brien guilty and would take another hour before sentencing him to death. Mike Hinton, who was the former district attorney who prosecuted the case, would say that the whole community would be left shocked. He would say, "We were all shocked that someone would kill their own son, their own flesh and blood, for a loosely $40,000 life insurance policy." Following his conviction, O'Brien was given the nickname Candyman by the public. Ronald would continue to say he's innocent even while he was led to his execution chamber. His last words were, "What is about to transpire in a few moments is wrong. However, we as human beings do make mistakes and errors. This execution is one of those wrongs. Yet, doesn't mean our whole system of justice is wrong. Therefore, I forgive all who have taken part in any of my death. Also, to anyone I have offended in any way during my 39 years, I pray and ask your forgiveness, just as I forgive anyone who offended me in any way. And I pray and ask God's forgiveness for all of us, respectively, as human beings. To my loved ones, I extend my undying love. To those close to me, know in your hearts, I love you one and all. God bless you all, and may God's best blessing be always yours." He was executed by lethal injection on March 30th, 1984. Well guys, this concludes today's video. I know it was a very heavy episode. Please, leave me a comment what do you think about today's video, and if you would like me to cover more similar stories. And also, if you like, you can leave me your recommendations down in the comments or DM me personally and I'll make sure to cover most of them. Please subscribe to my channel with the bell so every time I upload new video you would get notified. I wish you lovely rest of the day and I'll see you next time.